Good afternoon. So, from a couple of the videos that I've made where I was calling out some of the control options with the rudder and some of the sensitivity problems, especially with the flight video that went up this morning, there's been a couple of comments that have tried to help fix the issue, and I wanted to address those. So first and foremost, thank you to everybody who has commented. That definitely does help. We want to try and fix this so everybody can have a good gaming experience. Unfortunately, they don't work. Now, you can see here on the right side, it's showing me a picture of an Xbox One controller. I have an Xbox 360 controller. It's, for all intents and purposes, the exact same controller. This is more of a back button, this is more of a start button, and that's about the only difference. Otherwise, all the buttons, all the options are still the same. But the way Windows is registering this controller is what might potentially be causing the issue. However, I don't really want to go drop $60 additional just to get an Xbox One controller unless somebody can confirm that is the fix. And even then, why should I spend $60? This controller worked just fine for FSX. Different game, I know, but the drivers cannot be that different to register a 360 versus an Xbox One. Anyway, on to the suggestions. First and foremost, under filter, I was advised to change that to all, which is fine. Come under search and search for rudder. This is problem one. I don't get any search results. Now, I know I'm terrible at spelling, but I do know how to spell rudder. Or if I put R, nothing. If I type axis, nothing. If I type RUD, because everything's in caps, nothing. If I type flight, nothing. No search results whatsoever, and you can see it's manually searching. Now I know where to look, and they were advising that if you go under the control surfaces, there is this rudder access option, which you can see you have ailerons access, elevator access. You have the option to set the rudder up with an axis. Normally on a joystick, this would be read as the left or right rotation of the stick itself without having to translate it to the left or to the right or forward or backward, pitch and yaw. Not yaw, pitch and roll. Yaw is what we're trying to change. The default options are down here, rudder left, rudder right. These are the all on or all off options, but you can see I selected the rudder axis as my left trigger. There's only one option. It should be registering both triggers as one specific axis. The left trigger pulls it to the left, and the right trigger pulls it to the right. But it's not seeing it as an axis. And you can see up here the L button. This is the left stick with left and right translation. So if I come in here, go to select an input, you can see here's the left stick press, right stick press, and here we have left stick range of motion in both directions. Left stick left stick right, left stick up and down independently. So you can see all of the different axis controls are there. Now I'm not sure why this one has no R in it unless I mouse over it. So again, game has some option issues. But for the triggers, all we get are button presses, similar to a gun. So I'm not sure if somebody out there has an Xbox One controller that can test this and see if there's a registering different or not. Now I've been on some other forums and seen people who do have Xbox One controllers posting the exact same problem. So I don't think this is independent of me. I think this is the way the game is registering the controller input. There either needs to be two options for rudder access left, rudder access right, where we can set the left and right triggers to function properly. And that should be slaved to the gear as well so that we can gradually steer our nose gear. We're not looking for independent or separate controls such as pedals would give, which would be perfect if we had the pedals, because I know there's different options to control, and commenter did mention that. But just like rudder left and rudder right yaw, it controls the wheel, but it's 100% all or nothing. So this rudder access should do the same thing. Unfortunately, that means that again, there's still no way to get in there and properly control things. So still a disappointment. The next thing that I found was there's a preset manager button down here, which comes in here and allows you to edit your presets. So I need to come back here and change this to minus 50, because minus 10 certainly wasn't cutting it. All right, let's go back. and back into sensitivity. Now in sensitivity, it should be showing all of my access options, but you can see it's only left stick, right stick. There's no triggers. So again, it's not seeing the triggers as an axis. It's just registering the sticks. Now I came in here and I had to drop the sensitivity. I had these a lot. I think they were in the 20s and 30s. 30 for this one, 20 for this one. But it was still too sensitive, as you saw the video yesterday that posted this morning, where I did the quick flight around Dallas, having all the problems with the autopilot and everything, and essentially it just wasn't cutting it. So I haven't flown with the -50 yet. I'm going to see how that works. I may have to take it down a little more, because in order to translate fully to the right, I should have to take the stick 100% to the right. So for me, it's like I turn that far in actuation. So imagine the bottom here is dead center and the top is the button all the way to the right, or the axis all the way to the left. I was getting to about here and was at 100% roll, nowhere near up to the top. So I'm trying to play around with this to get it a little better. Now I did send an email to Microsoft. I mentioned that a few times. I did actually get a response today, so let's take a look at their response. Alright, so this is the email I sent to them, basically saying rudder control settings for Xbox controller are wrong. They're set to on-off buttons versus an analog stick with sensitivity. As a result, they're completely worthless, blah, blah, blah. When can we get this fixed? And so and so and so. And this is their response. Hi, here are common solutions if you're having issues with buttons not working or peripherals not being detected. That's not what I wrote. It's detected, it's just not working. Controller options, input per game, drop down, forced off. Why would forced off change anything? My controller is recognized. Connect the peripheral, that doesn't help me. Reinstalling drivers. I'm in Windows 10, and I installed Windows 10 for the sole purpose of running this game. So I know I have the latest options for the Xbox controller because it comes from Microsoft, but I will give this a try just for giggles, just to reinstall the driver for the button or the controller. And then outside of that, here's a list of supported peripherals. And here's the Xbox controller. And it takes me here for Xbox controllers. I don't need anything fancy or goofy here. None of that is what I want. They're all very expensive. This is the newer version. Again, it's Xbox One. Mine looks more like this one, which is the old Xbox 360 style, which isn't here at the moment. So again, but I've also seen people having the same issue with the Xbox One controller like this, the wireless controller, whatever. Anyway, so that's not quite what I need. And I don't know what the adaptive controller is. Yes, definitely not what I need. So that's pretty much a very disappointing answer. It basically ignores my entire concern and gives me the generic yada yada. So I really shouldn't have to disconnect all USB devices. And again, it is detected. This is potentially an issue, but I've done this before both times. Like this time I launched the game, the controller was connected well before the game was launched. So I don't think that's a problem. Plug and play is supported in Windows 10 and whatever. So I'm going to go reinstall the drivers for the controller just for giggles. We'll see what happens and I'll report back later, but I really don't think there will be any appreciable difference. So thank you for watching and hopefully we get this fixed.